How did Ethereum killer Cardano, symbol ADA, has been making amazing moves and progressions? They've been making continental partnerships, which we're going to cover coming up soon. And then stay till the end, because at the end, I'm going to share my thoughts on whether or not Cardano can usurp the king Ethereum and where it's going to be heading in the future. Let's cover some of the major news and updates that Cardano has been making. One of the biggest news stories that has been circulating is that IOHK, which is the developer business behind Cardano, announces that they've made the world's biggest blockchain deployment in Ethiopia. What this entails is bringing blockchain technology to about 5 million Ethiopian students, which focuses primarily on the country's education system, recording and monitoring grades. And at first, that doesn't sound like that's that impressive, but when you dig into it deeper, it makes more sense. One of the biggest things that blockchain solves, and I saw this with Charles Hoskinson's TED Talk, where he talked about his goal and the benefits that blockchain brings to the world. And then he compared two different people of the unbanked and being able to bring financial services to the unbanked, to people who don't have the luxury that we have in affluent areas in Western cultures that are more established. I've been to a third world country and know a lot of people who are unbanked. It is significantly harder to transact and have basic financial services that we take for granted. Taking out loan, transferring money. Venmo does not exist in third world countries. Here, we can just go on an app, send money really quick at no cost. But when you go to a different country, you have remittance costs, you have all of these associated costs that make it significantly more expensive to transfer cash. I remember working with one of our interns when we had a previous business, and he lived in the Philippines. We were going to pay him through the work that he did through just a simple bank transfer that we take for granted through my bank account. We just be like, okay, we'll just wire money or like do an ACH into his bank account. But we realized it was significantly harder than that. We had to go through a third-party country. One of the reasons why blockchain technology is revolutionary is the fact that with these developing countries, third world countries, and even not third world countries, the countries that are developed, that are unbanked and don't have the ability to get access to these financial services, or even just identity, that's something else that we take for granted here, that we can easily prove that we own this house, this plot of land. But in places where record keeping is not entirely accurate or is prone to fraud, you can't prove it as easily. Charles's main premises inside his TED Talk is that blockchain technology solves trust, where two people can do transactions without a third party in the middle to say that both of these people are trustworthy and that you can do the transactions together. Think about buying houses, think about escrow, where a third party has to hold your money, or a credit score, where see if the credit score makes sense for the bank to loan this person money or transfer money over. We solve the issue with trust and with cryptocurrency because of the nature of blockchain, the immutable nature of blockchain. It's easier to do exchanges without having to know the other person because of that. Because of the security, and it brings into a new category of identity and making record keeping so that it's not prone to fraudulent activities, and makes it so that it's easier for entities and people to get access to that information. This is what Cardano is doing. They want to reduce fraudulent university applications and make it easy to check the accuracy of students' grades without having to rely on third parties to bring in, and again, be able to trust the data. We take for granted that data can't be manipulated as easily as in corruption-prone countries. To be able to have access to all that data, as a business analyst consultant during my day job, I work with a lot of data, looking for trends, providing insights with the data that you provide. When you have a lot of data, that gives you the flexibility of finding different trends and analyzing it. But when you don't have any data and you can't track it, you can't improve it. The other thing that is a plus and a benefit for this is that it brings transparency to the whole grading process and improves the ability for people to move around and have better employment opportunities, especially if for people who are in rural areas. Part of you might be thinking, why is this even a big deal? Is there a big need to be able to verify students' grades? Part of the reason and the need for this is because there's a struggle with growing counterfeit diplomas, and educational institutions, systems are trying to figure out ways to combat if it's accurate or not. So technology in general needs to solve a problem. It needs to give value to whoever is going to be using it. When there's a burning need and you have a solution, that is a product that gets adoption. So when we look at the Ethiopian government and how blockchain can solve the different issues that it's facing, or when you think about the corruption in Ethiopia, there's a document published by the World Bank called Diagnosing Corruption in Ethiopia. And part of it touches on the falsification of documents and certifications. There were also previous studies published saying that about 3,200 government workers had falsified certifications. Inside this World Bank document, falsification of documents in support of applications for promotion, risk, high. In the case of people getting promoted and moving up further, and this is targeting specifically the education sector, there is a risk for supporting documentation relating to qualifications and experience. Qualifications being education as one of them. This document also touches upon fraud and certification, transcripts and certificates, risk, high. This shows that there's significant risk in corruption and certification, with 20% of TTC and university students perceiving that students' certifications or transcripts are forged to help them graduate. Direct quote from this document. So this was, and the biggest thing that they were concerned about was a corrupt practice pertaining to students' performance, and that falsifying these documents is what is needed to get jobs or to complete primary and secondary school cycles. There's this need for blockchain and for Cardano to come in to be able to alleviate this one problem of many, to be able to solve this issue of identity and data accuracy. And this is only one of the partnerships that Cardano has been working on and has announced. If these few country partnerships are able to flourish, what else can Cardano use blockchain to solve for not only Ethiopia, but Africa as a whole? There's also been a need for the government to increase education quality and educational resources and services. A Tala Prism solution does as well is it makes it available to pinpoint locations and areas of underachievement and performances to be able to allocate resources and more efficiently, more effectively, to be able to improve and to be able to understand outside of corruption, what is the real data telling us? How can we improve the educational system? Because when you get bad data and it's manipulated and it's corrupted, you can't accurately, effectively, efficiently improve something. But then when you can actually get a real picture, you can make real solutions and see if those solutions are working and improving your metrics. So this is all combining into what Cardano is going to be able to provide. Think about the potential for not only Ethiopia, all the different areas prone to corruption that have the need for immutable data. And to be honest, we could have used the blockchain to validate all of the votes in America back then, and that we could have put this on the blockchain and that it would have solved those major trust issues that the nation was facing at that time. That is only a small section of what is possible. And Cardano has just announced another partnership to bring internet connectivity to Zanzibar and Tanzania, which again uses digital identity solution Atala Prism, which, quote, will allow them to use services such as digital banking, healthcare, and again, education. And it shows the bullish nature of Cardano and what they're doing, being able to provide financial services to the unbanked. It's because when you can provide financial services, it does increase your quality of life. and that there are 7 million people in Africa that are not connected to the internet. So being able to start providing those types of services, including services where you can make payments through your phone without needing internet. Inadequate government infrastructure is potentially a blessing in surprise because of the highly integrated, embedded legacy infrastructure. It makes it so that developing countries can move directly toward blockchain-based infrastructure and systems. In other countries, Western civilization, we're deeply embedded in a traditional finance system. We're deeply embedded in centralized solutions, which are good and bad depending on what the need is. It's harder and it's slower and it increases the amount of friction, doubt, fear, everything that comes with just making a major transition to something new that's a change. And you haven't had that infrastructure already in place. It makes it easier for these developing countries to move into the next generation of infrastructure that is the future of blockchain. And being able to be at the forefront of this area is one of the reasons why I'm bullish on Cardano. Do I think that Cardano is going to be the next Ethereum killer? It could be. For this bull run, I don't think it will be. And I don't think Cardano will ever kill Ethereum. And I don't think Ethereum will ever kill Cardano, Polkadot, Cosmos, Algorand, any of these touted Ethereum killers, because there's more than one solution. Think about software companies, think about financial gurus, experts. There's more than one catering to different needs of a marketplace. Being an entrepreneur who studied this, who's built businesses, who is a business analyst consultant for a huge Fortune 500 company, there is going to be a niche that everybody can fill. The question is, who is going to come out on top within the next decade? There's going to be companies that are going to be great, but there's going to be a company that's going to be the market leader and is going to be amazing. I do not have the foresight to predict that, but what I'm doing is I'm hedging my bets. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I do have a stake in Cardano, but I do have a stake in Polkadot. I do have a stake in Cosmos, Algorand, Ethereum. I'm betting on the future of blockchain, and my feeling is that all of these blockchains, layer one blockchains, have a purpose and are going to find their niche and the need of the marketplace and the audience that they're going to fulfill. If they don't, then they're going to be lackluster and fade into the distance and just be a fond memory of those people who think about it and will sit back and be like, oh, I wonder what happened to insert whatever blockchain you want to talk about. But other than that, think about, let's go with computer company. Google specializes in search engines initially. IBM was with computers. Then Dell was direct-to-consumer computers. There was a whole plethora of different software companies that fit different needs. And even when you look at just personal computers, Apple set to carve out a niche inside the people who want to be different, individualistic, that were rebels against the cause initially when you look at their advertising. So you get to carve out, there's going to be this overall big space within the blockchain industry and marketplace, and then all of these different projects are going to carve out their individual niches to be able to capture that part of the marketplace and be the market leader inside that area. For Cardano, they're going to be carving out the developing country, specifically targeting Africa. When you go in and you create a new business, you're looking for a burning need and creating a solution for that burning need and providing it for a certain audience. They're providing financial services, financial infrastructure, identity infrastructure to the African continent. And to be able to do that, there's nobody else that is the market leader in Africa. It's Cardano. Based on like the technology, based on the news, based on the different people I talk to, Cardano isn't my favorite blockchain. It isn't my favorite project. I personally like Polkadot better, but I still will bet on Cardano because of the need and the niche and the audience that it meets and the infrastructure that it's building. Because even though there's people who talk about how there's nothing being built on Cardano and that they're too slow, which I agree. I come from a very innovative technology company and we work on agile practices and serve the equivalent of Ethiopia and even more members. And the way that we work is within the agile methodology, which is moving very fast. And the way that I learned in entrepreneurship was through the lean startup method. I understand that he's building it off of academics, but academics moves too slow in the need of how technology grows, right? But it's still going to be able to provide a solution to a burning need, and they have a great team around them. Whether or not you hate Charles Hoskinson, he is out there, people know about him, and people love or hate him, and you need that type of polarizing energy to be out there so that you can build up a raving fan base, which is what Cardano has done. Whenever I check news stories, there's so many comments driving it up by the Cardano fan base. Keep doing it, because I believe there is not going to be one single blockchain. It's going to be together. It's going to be a whole cryptocurrency blockchain community that propels us into the future. There isn't just Google. There isn't just Amazon. There isn't just Shopify, PayPal, eBay. There's going to be a whole bunch of different blockchain. And when you think about it, there's so many different computer languages as well. There is room at the top for Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano. The question is, who is going to pull ahead and who is going to be the amazing pick? I don't know, so I'm betting on the field and we'll see where that goes. The one thing that I do know is Cardano looks like it's going to capture the African market, regardless if anybody is building on it right now. They're building the marketing, they're building up the hype, and they're in there in the weeds creating these partnerships. And regardless if it is the best product or blockchain, it doesn't matter, because there's plenty of products that are better than what exists today that nobody knows about, nobody cares about, because nobody's heard about it. And that's the other thing you have to think about, is that if the value proposition isn't accurately articulated to these different audiences and you're trying to be bigger, better, best, it usually doesn't turn out too well if the friction of changing is only incremental. The friction of changing is huge and the gain is only incremental. We'll start to see within the next few years with ETH 2.0, with Cardano getting smart contracts, with the release of parachains on Polkadot, and then Solana, and all of these other blockchains coming up, to see what and who pulls out, to see who separates them from the rest of all of these companies. I'm excited because my belief is that most of these companies are going to be doing well, and that competition is healthy for the market because it continually improves the services and what is offered for everybody, with having the foundation of being open source and the community pushing things forward. I only see things up for Cardano, but also for other layer 1 blockchains that are competing against each other. So I'd love to hear what you guys think below. Where do you think Cardano is going to be going? Do you think Cardano is going to kill ETH in the future? Or do you have another layer 1 chain that you believe is going to come out on top, be the Amazon of all layer 1 blockchains, be that Microsoft, the Google, the market leader of layer 1 solutions? I'd love to hear your comments below. Like the video if you like the video, and check out the next video to get more up-to-date crypto news. Subscribe to the channel. Cheers. We'll talk soon. Take care. Bye.